Yeah, we should get started. Okay, so let's look at a few things here. Log in. Hopefully most of you have seen the multitude of things. Welcome, Nancy, to your symptom survey, please. Hopefully you've all seen the multitude of things I've sent to all of you. Thank you. I don't imagine you've maybe watched or read everything. We'll go over a few things here to start talking about math. For those of you in Guy's class, I was watching some of the videos he posted, and they're really good. So I encourage you to watch them. I forget his first name, but his last name is Guy, and get a video icon. I don't like doing a linear regression bit, so the curve is really great. Thank you. And thank you. And thank you. Appreciate it. So let's go over a few things. I should log in. Things. It's hot in this mask, which I'm sure you're all aware of because you're probably hot in your masks too. I like to drink a lot of water, which this is making a little difficult. It looks super cute, for sure. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Oh, there's someone on Zoom. How exciting. Let's see here. Yeah, I've totally forgot how to do all the things. Clearly. There we go. Lawrence is joining us from Zoom. Hi, Lawrence. I hope you can hear me. I should ask him if you can hear me. Let's pull up the chat. No worries, Lawrence. But let's make sure you can hear me. All right. Hopefully that's a yes. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to work on it. I don't want to do that. Please not saying anything. Please, Lawrence, let us know. Can you hear me, Lawrence? Yes, awesome, great. Okay, good. That means I didn't set up anything wrong. Thank you. Yeah, I do try to look at the date as like as opposed to just the color, because I had one student today did show me accidentally the one from yesterday. It was fine. Nice to see your symptoms. So that's why I try to get up a little bit closer to see the actual numbers. Thank you so much. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, almost everyone's here. Great. 27. Cool. And hopefully, Lawrence, you can see all the things. Oh, that's someone else on Zoom. Wow, how exciting. That's a student I think I had her over the summer. All right, so Canvas. Yeah, sorry, there's like so many things to, I know I'm like, sorry, but it's just weird. Like, I'm like trying to make sure you guys can see things, and I can see things, and the video is gonna be not terrible. It'll probably be terrible, but less terrible. So welcome to class. I'm glad you're all here. It's been an interesting first day so far. We're going to hopefully help you be more successful in your 17A class. It's introductory calculus with a biological sciences emphasis. And I will certainly, warn is not quite the right word, but just prepare you for the fact that it's a very different treatment of what calculus usually is. I wouldn't say like very, very different, like you're still going to learn about derivatives and things like that. But there are a lot of applications that, may I see your symptom survey, please? Sure. There are a lot of applications that are like kind of different. So when I first taught this class, I was like, oh, there's a lot of things I need to learn, because it's really like you do stuff with you do a lot more recursive growth type stuff. You look at differential equations, which yes is part of calculus, but it's usually not quite in there. So it's just, if you've taken calculus before, be prepared that this is going to be a little bit different. Not a lot different, but enough that you shouldn't be like, oh, I've done calculus. I mean, obviously you're here, you recognize that you might want to have some extra help anyway, so I don't think anyone's taking that approach, but just be aware. It's a little bit different than what I was used to when I first took calculus. So do you have any questions? It's okay if you do, or it's okay if you come up with some later. let's go ahead and look briefly at Canvas, even though I know many of you probably watched the video I sent you. Thank you for watching it. Let me just show you through things quickly. Here's the home page. Here's where the recent announcements come up. Here's some information about myself. You don't need to read that if you don't want to. You can call me James, by the way. I prefer you call me James, but you can call me Mr. something if you want, not Mr. Parmenter. People have problems saying my last name. It's fine. I don't care. You can call me professor. I am not a professor, but lots of students default to that. So if that's what you're comfortable with, I really don't care. But just so you know, I'm not a professor. Let's see. So here's the syllabus. There's way too much information here. All you really need to know about this class, I mean, honestly, is you need to come. That's kind of it. Come to class, fill out the attendance form, which you can, hopefully, they were not working earlier, but I think I fixed them. If all of you could please actually try to fill out the attendance form using one of the many QR codes, not that one up there, but any of the other ones that are the ones that say, I need to make my words bigger to say James's class attendance. Yes.
I just tried filling out the attendance form from the link on Canvas,
Okay.
and it's on the edit mode. So
Yeah, okay. So there were a few links I think I accidentally grabbed the wrong link. Try to use that one. I will go back through Canvas and check all the links to make sure that they're right. Because yeah, that's what the problem with this one before. People were getting the edit mode. Hopefully that's not the case. Someone can verify that for me. And when you write your name on there, please do write your name as it normally is, like your first name first and your last name second. And I'm guessing it's working because everyone seems to be doing it. Cool. Okay, good. I'll give you guys a moment then. Take some water. All right, so I'll fix the links on Canvas, but I will typically have these. You can also bookmark the page, right? And just go to it whenever you're in class. Question?
Should we do it with our UC Davis email? Or
Doesn't matter, but that's probably preferred.
Okay.
Actually, I should for the for those of you that are attending via Zoom, if the link isn't working, I'll send you an updated link later. You can fill it out then. So apologies for the Zoom folks if the links aren't working currently. I thought they were right and they weren't. So yeah, that's kind of really the biggest thing is come to class. We're going to talk about 17A. I'm going to show you hopefully lots of stuff, usually, maybe less so today, but usually lots of things. The only other thing you might want to know about is the modules is where I'm going to put most of the stuff for the class. There's all this intro stuff here, some videos to watch if you want to, submitting work in Gradescope. There are going to be optional quizzes here for 17A. Come on, can I see your symptom survey, please? So there will be optional quizzes every week. They are optional. If you don't have to do them, great. But if you do them, I will grade them, and then you'll get feedback on how you are doing on the material. So if you want another source of like how am I understanding this material, I do encourage you to do them. They're not terribly long. I don't mind grading them. So do them if you want, but only if you have time, right? I know you're busy students. You have a lot of other classes that are much. This is the least important class you're taking. Like it might be the most helpful class you're taking. It's also the least important class you're taking. So if you don't want to do the quiz for this class, you've got many other class things going on that actually you get credit for and are due. Do those first. Do the quiz if you want to do more math stuff and you have the time to do more math stuff. Or the quizzes. And you can find the quizzes somewhere down. You can find the quizzes in the assignments. That's the easiest place to find them. They're right there. You can click on one. And then, assuming I'm logged into Gradescope, it'll take me to Gradescope and it'll take you to the quiz. So, and then you can look at the PDF file, which should be there. This is not the correct one. Oh, maybe it is. I think I need to look at the quizzes to make sure they're right, but these are the ones I gave last time I taught this class. They should be relatively relevant, but I might need to update them a little bit. Okay. back to the modules. There are old class notes. Oh, no, that's not true. These are the new, this is where the new class notes will be. There are also old class notes somewhere on here. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I'm a liar. There's also chapters from the textbook. So if you don't have the book yet and you need to look at the book, there's chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 right there for you. There's some log linear paper and some log graph paper, which sometimes people want you to write on by hand. That seems kind of crazy to me personally, but people have done it in the past. There's also Grant's website, which has a lot of great, useful handouts. I won't lie. A lot of these are the inspiration I used for class anyway. So lots of great material here. Grant's a coworker of mine. He has written great notes. I feel like this, let's make sure they were working earlier. Awesome. Yes, great. He had to like update all the links because Google did some stuff where like all the links are not working anymore. So it's all good. I just want to see if there's anything else that I really feel like. There are links to the videos I made last year for this class. So if you feel like you really need more source material, they're there. They are labeled so that the topic is there, so you can kind of look through them. These, yeah, they mostly all have like, yeah, actually did a good job of labeling them pretty well. So you can see if you're looking for something on like the chain rule, implicit differentiation related rates, there you go. There's also more videos on YouTube. Here's a handout on derivative practice, quizzes, previous quizzes and solutions. I'm like, there's old quizzes and solutions, and here's the new quiz solutions, which you can't see yet because they're not. So like, yeah, I can see this because it's me, but you can't see this because it's not published yet. I mean, you can see it now, obviously. And then some review materials. So I've got some practice, some old reviews and practice exams from various classes. And we will definitely talk about that when we get closer to midterm time. So I will say, I kind of wish more of your, oh, got a question.
How many midterms does this class have?
This class has no midterms.
Oh, so
Your actual class will probably have 2 or 3 midterms.
does this class have a final?
Nope, no, this class is nothing. I mean, it's not nothing, but like this class is purely here just to be an aid to your education. So all we're gonna do is, so mostly it's gonna be a lot of me talking and showing you things. Occasionally, I will try to have you guys do problems as well. In the 17 series especially, it feels like there's so much material that there's not as much time for me to give you the opportunity to work on it because I feel compelled to show you a lot of things. But to answer your question, no, I require literally nothing but your body to be here. I would also prefer you pay attention, but attendance is the only measurement of grade in this class. So as far as passing the class, I think it's a 70% to pass, and literally you have to attend 70% of the classes. That's it. You do that, you pass. I'm not real strict. It's also a class that doesn't count towards graduation. If I accidentally passed a student that didn't pass, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Also, if you didn't pass this class, it probably wouldn't matter because actually it could matter if you weren't meeting minimum progress requirements, if you didn't have enough units for the quarter, that it could matter. Other than that, it doesn't. So not that big a deal in class, except that it's great because we help you actually like interpret what your professor might be saying, help you learn some things, help you drink enough water. Everyone should be drinking whatever beverage that you're drinking. Feel free to move your mask, do whatever. You look really good like this. I mean, right? I'm sure this looks excellent. I wish this mask was a little easier to breathe in, but this is the one I chose because I can talk and it doesn't like come off my face. And the other one that was easier to breathe in definitely came off my face when I talked. So this is the choice I will live with. What other questions do you guys have? I like your questions. It's a good question. Yeah.
Oh, so we, like, for example, I was in the 17A this morning. So for like,
Can I ask who your professor is?
let me look it up real fast.
It's all right. It's okay.
Okay. come in here and be like, oh, we went over this, can we talk about this?
Not only can you, I would love it if you did.
Okay.
Yeah. So in fact, a great way to do that so that I have more time to prepare for what you might be wanting to talk about is, I would say email, but email is not the, I mean, email is fine. If you want to shoot me an email like, hey, James, we did this, I want about this, that's great. But honestly, an excellent way to do that would, for all of you, to use the discussions. So any of you can start a discussion and be like, we talked about log graphing today. And you can say something like, hey, James. You don't have to say, hey, James. We looked at this problem. Come on, caps lock. My typing is usually better than this, by the way. Insert problem. Can we go over something like it? Or, right, whatever. I'm just saying that. But you get the idea. You can actually, the cool thing about, so there's a couple cool things about posting specifically a discussion. One, everyone sees it, which you might be like, oh, that seems terrible. So if you really, really don't want everyone to see it, you can totally email me. But the positive side is that everyone gets to see it, which means everyone can chime in and everyone gets to benefit from the discussion we have in the discussion. Also, the other excellent thing, which is why I like this better than I like getting an email from you, is in here, I can use the math typing functionality to really write a nice answer in the math type that I'm used to using, whereas on my email, it is less functional in that way. So if it's like Friday afternoon, you're like, James, I have this question, I can, and I have in the past definitely given students really good prompts to kind of help them work through it via discussion, and everyone's gotten to see it. So yes, to very longly answer your question, yes, please ask me. We work on this in class. I would love to work on that afterwards. That is an excellent way for me to best serve you. And if you want to do it via discussion, that's great, because then people can see what's going on. And that applies to all of them. And I thought I saw another question somewhere. Yes.
I have a question. How effective do you think this class is? Because I don't know how you be able to measure how helpful it is for students.
That's a good question. And I would say, I think we've measured, and really, I think we've surveyed students in the past and found, and this is right, statistical significance, probably hard to say exactly because the sample size is small. But I think we have found our students usually do somewhat better than the class as an average. But again, that's not, I don't feel like we might tout that as being, but it might not be as statistically significant as one would like to believe it is. That said, so I don't know about how much you can measure the impact of the class, but I do think the class is helpful. Obviously it's optional, right? Nobody has to be here. I hope you all want to be here, decide to stay here. But if you don't want to take this class, you do not have to. I'm not trying to be like, get out if you don't want to be here. Just want to point out, right? This is purely optional. You don't have to come to this class if you don't want to. Unless you need the 1 unit back middle progress, then you probably need to be here. So, but I will say, what I think I've seen over the years, especially with the 17 series, is depending on the professor, it can be, sometimes they're really great, sometimes they are not. And it can be challenging to kind of interpret what they actually mean, or to distill down what they're actually trying to get you to learn. And maybe, there's this really kind of great biological outcome that you can see from all the math, and they are kind of, especially one professor who's really great, comes out at a very high level. It's like, look at this cool thing, this result that we're getting at. But when it comes down to it, you need to be able to show them that you can do the math that actually gets you there. So it's great to think about the high level stuff, but we have to also be at least as concerned with the actual process of calculating things, doing derivatives. Yes, there's some interpretation as well, and we will talk about that as well. But we're going to focus more on the functionality of doing the math so that you can actually be successful in that way. and taking what your professor has said and being like, well, what does this actually mean? I'm thinking of an example from 17C, where they're talking about like going up and down hills and talking about like, depending on the direction you're going up the hill, what slope are you going up at? It's all this tough stuff about what's called a directional derivative. And it can be difficult to interpret what's going on at first. So a lot of that's what we do in this class, is talk about how do you take the sometimes very long-winded, as I can also be, the sometimes very long-winded written, word problem, and find out what that actually they're asking you to do with that. So maybe not a great answer to your question, but the best answer I've got. All right, what else?
So will my attendance be affected if I come in here tardy? Because my
No.
My last class ended
Sure.
at 2.
Yeah.
It does not.
No, I mean, just try your best to be here as soon as you can be. I get it, right? Some people are taking classes that are literally on the other side of campus. People also might need to use the restroom in between classes. So yes, it's perfectly fine to come late. I just ask that when you come in, you have your symptom survey ready to show me, so you can just walk in, I can look, you can sit down, it'll be great. But yeah, I'm not particularly concerned with people being late. Now, if you're coming in like minute 55 of class, well, I guess minute 45. If you're coming in at 3:55, then I'm like, okay, come on. But I don't expect that's what would be happening with anybody, so I'm not too worried about it. Also, it's a pass class. It's a workload unit, so I'm not worried about it. You shouldn't be worried about it either. Everybody can definitely pass this class, no problem. There was something else I feel like I wanted to make sure I showed you all. I think I looked through all this, yeah. Assignment, discussion, announcement. You can get the grade scope in Zoom. Let me go back to the dashboard. So there is, I think there are 4 different 17A classes. Let me just, and I think I've asked you to do this in, all right, so that said, the quizzes are purely optional, but I really appreciate if everyone did quiz number 0, because that is a quiz where I'm just asking you to tell me about yourself and also to tell me whose class you're in. So I think there's 4. In fact, let's go find out. So let's go to the math website. We're probably not going to do very much math today, partly because I don't know what's going on in classes right now, except for one of them. So that's again why your question is excellent, because I would love for you to be like, hey, James, can we do this? Can we do this? I'd be like, yes, great. Now I know what I'm doing in class. Otherwise, I have to make stuff up. And it's like, okay, well, fine. I just want to show you, at least for math classes, that's not what I want. Sorry, course list. There we go. You can see who's teaching what on the math webpage. For 17A, who is in Didell's class? It's okay. It's also okay if you don't know whose class you're in. Didell, he's an older guy, got a mustache. He's pretty cool. I had him as a teacher when I took linear algebra many years ago here. Who has Rohit Thomas as their teacher? Okay. And then we have Maria Trinkova, I want to say. Okay. And then I think we have also Didell again. And then Robert Guy. Okay. So it looks like a pretty evenish mix. As far as I know, Guy is the only one who is giving me access to his Canvas. It looks fine. Here's his Canvas. Here are the assignments. Here's his first discussion worksheet. Got some right there. So I don't know if anyone else has seen what's coming up for them, but here are some problems that he has assigned for his class. And maybe we should look, I mean, everyone's going to be doing similar things. So let's go ahead and, since we have the textbook available to us right here, my textbook, I need to bring my books back. In fact, I can grab myself a note. I need to bring my books back to school because they're all at home and I would like to have them here. Bring books to school. Especially this, I feel like the 17A book of all of them is the one I use the most because it's just the most different from, I don't want to say regular calculus, but it is a very different treatment of calculus. So, but let's go ahead and I don't want to actually do these problems because I typically try not to do homework problems for people because that just seems like what I'm not supposed to do. But I am very good at doing problems that are similar to these problems. So let's go ahead and take a look at the textbook. And I should say, before we actually do some math, 238, are there any more questions? Comments, concerns, observations? Yeah.
I think I'm in the wrong math class.
Okay, what math class are you taking?
Currently 17A, but I was told I should be taking.
Oh, okay. So I will let you know, we do offer a Co-21B class. It's not taught by me. I think there's one that's purely online taught by Azuna, new, and there's one that's, so maybe there's only one actually. But you should definitely look at our website and find it. And yeah, you also, if you want to talk about which class you should actually be taking, because maybe if you're not sure, happy to talk to you about it after class. And saw another hand back there somewhere.
So if the quizzes are not like free,
No, they will be graded, they just are not worth any points. So you don't have to.
yeah, so what is
Attendance purely. So as long as you attend 70% of the classes, which I feel like is kind of a low threshold. I would love to see everybody here all the time. I understand there's other things going on. And you just don't feel like coming to class. I get it. Yeah, that's it. So as long as you come enough of the time, you'll pass the class. Yeah.
So after we're done taking the quiz, are we gonna go over it?
That's a good question. My plan wasn't to. So typically, when you take the quiz, it's due on, I think, the Monday of each week. After I get all the quizzes that have been submitted, I will release the solutions. I will also grade them. I'm also happy to talk about them with you in person if you want. But since I'm not requiring it of everyone, I feel like going over it in class is probably, people will be like, oh, I mean, we might, depending on, we might, I guess is the answer, because I might see something like, oh, we should really talk about this, even though not everyone did it. But yeah, but generally my plan is probably not to, but we might. And I do think they're a good thing to do. So if you have the time, I would again encourage you to do the quizzes. They're not that hard. You will submit them via Gradescope. And if you want help with that, there's some videos I made, which I think are explain how to use Gradescope pretty easily. Yeah.
How do we register for this class?
I can give you the CRN number right now. In fact, I was smart this quarter. I wrote all the CRN numbers on the classes right here. The CRN for this class, CRN number, it's terrible, right? It's course registration number. No, it's a CRN, right? Like ATM machine. Okay. It is 52801. Okay. So I was going to do a thing. I was going to look at the book. Let's see if this link is still good. These links should all be good. There's no reason they've changed. So here is hopefully all of chapter 1. So if you don't have the textbook yet, there you go, chapter 1. Great. I specifically wanted to look at section 1.1. Let's take a look. It's a little bit of scrolling. Okay. I mean, so this might not be the best way to access the textbook. I will just point out. You could probably also like if we actually did that, it might be better. Yeah, that seems superior, I think. So we can scroll down to the actual questions. So here's the question that Professor Guy has asked you all to look at. Who those of you who are in this class? I'm just curious what it's about. So here's a typical graph of the number of bacteria growing in the batch culture as a function of time t. Describe what you think is happening during each of the 4 phases. I mean, that seems like a worthwhile thing to explore, even if it's something you're supposed to do. I'm always like, should I do the thing? I mean, yeah, I don't mind. It is your discussion. I suppose you're supposed to discuss this with other people. Anyway, you should also look at that. Sorry, I probably shouldn't just talk about how that works right now, but we can look at a different thing. So let's Let me make sure I can do the, gosh, this is going to be challenging just a little bit. All right, so I want to put this over there. Okay. Is that terrible? Yeah, this is interesting. Okay. Also, I should definitely turn up the brightness here. I feel like the video quality is, I would say, mediocre. Also, for those of you on Zoom, you're welcome to ask questions. I will point out that the chat is currently visible to everybody. So if you write something in the chat, everyone's going to see it. I might try to do something different in the future, but this kind of seems like I like to be able to see what's here so that I can tell if this is like in the wrong spot or not. And if it's over there, you guys will be like, hey, James, you're off the screen. So I think this might be best. Also, I feel like I've got some lag. Okay. So what am I trying to say here? I don't know. Sorry, if I feel like if it looks like I'm unprepared, it's because I'm a little unprepared. It's okay though. It's not so much unprepared, just like I didn't really know what to expect today. So it's kind of like, well, we'll come and talk about the syllabus and stuff. And then if we can do some math, do some math. Yeah, this class always just starts off in such kind of weird place. Let's go back and look at Grant's notes here. Sure, let's look at this. We could do that. That seems less than exciting. Okay. Let's start here, because I imagine many of you have probably seen a lot of pre-calculus things. You've probably seen things like the difference quotient, I imagine, maybe. But I'm guessing a lot of you might not have seen log and semi-log plots, which is definitely something that can be confusing to students in the beginning. It definitely was confusing to me the first time. I was like, what are we doing? This is something totally new to me. And so let's kind of work through this. I'm going to somehow make, how do I look at the notes and also do the thing over there? Let's figure it out. Okay, let me try. Today's a day of practicing things. Hopefully next week, things will be a lot smoother. So I guess I'm going to do that. Let's do that. Okay. All right, so you can see there. All right. It feels weird. It's just, okay. I'm going to have to get over it. That's all right. So the thing, it's weird when the mouse is over. It's weird. Yeah, I know I've said it's weird like 20 times. It's still weird. The mouse like travels off the right side of my screen over to there. I would love it if it was going that way instead, but it's not. I could probably fix it, but it's not the point. So let's talk about log and semi-log plots. Also, I will be posting the video that's recorded. I will also post the notes. I'll post them in Canvas. Actually, I'll post them in a Google Drive file folder, sorry. And then the link to that folder is in Canvas. So that's probably the easiest way to get to them if you want to look at things later. So let's talk about graphing something like y equals 3 times 5 to the x. I hope that my penmanship is not terrible. It's all right. So if we start trying to graph this, you're going to notice really quickly that the y values get pretty large. And if x is 0, y is going to be 3 times 5 to the 0, which is 3. If x is 1, you're going to get 3 times 5 to the first. If x is 2, you get 3 times 5 squared. If x is 3, you're going to get 3 times 5 cubed. And it gets very large. If x is 4, you get 3 times 5 to the 4th, which is what, 1875? Yeah. And graphing this on a conventional graph is kind of not particularly meaningful, right? It's, if I start trying to graph things here, my y scale is going to get very, very large very quickly, right? And this is 10, This is 15. This is 1. Oh, I know what I want to say. Right? It's almost nonsensical to graph this. Right? Like I can't even make it look even close to decent if my X and my Y axis have the same scaling. The other thing I wanted to actually mention as we do this is, yeah, I should just keep that up. Sorry. Yeah, I really want to keep going back and forth. This is interesting. Sure. Okay, keep going. What I want to show you was something you all should be, I don't want to say familiar with, but you should get familiar with, is using decimals. So if you haven't, I see a lot of nodding heads, great. You should definitely get familiar with using decimals. Low system resource may affect your audio quality. Oh, well, fine. Using too many things at once. Okay, I guess I can close my email here. Three. I actually don't know what the multiplication sign is. Times, like, is it the star? Okay. I almost never use it. So there, we can do that. And we can see a reasonable graph. We can zoom out. Oh, that's fun. Okay. But right, you can see it's kind of a ridiculous looking graph. And so if we actually wanted to try and plot it in a way that might be more meaningful, we might do what's called a log-log or a semi-log graph. And holy smokes, all my stuff is just, you know what the problem with this is? I don't know how, there's that little button that makes all the windows do, oh, that's not true, there is. It's magic though. It's like Windows tab. Yeah, there it is. What was the thing I wanted? That. So got a million things open, good times. So what we can do is we can, instead of plotting the X values versus the Y values, we can plot the X values, and instead of the Y values, we can plot the log of Y values. And I'm writing on this thing like you can see it, and you clearly can't. Let me just show you the notes. So, like, I feel like this might turn into more of a me maybe not writing a whole bunch of stuff down here. One, because my writing is not excellent, and two, someone has already written some excellent notes, which I can talk about explaining. So here's the idea over here. Let's just talk about this. We're going to take log of both sides, log base 10 specifically, and it really feels weird to say it though. I'm not writing. I can't, like, I'm not gonna lie, like saying these things and not writing them down, it's like, can I do this? Okay, fine. I can go over here. So we're taking log of both sides. And then we're using the log rules, which if you have a log of a product, you can break it up. The log of the first thing plus log of the second thing. And then we're using the power rule for logarithms, so you can bring this power down. The log of y is the log of 3 plus x times log of 5. And now what we're doing is we're saying this log of y, that's our new y, right? We're going to plot not this x versus this y, but this x versus this y. That's the whole idea. And this is what's called a semi-log plot, because we're replacing one of the two variables with the log. Where the x variable is still staying as what it was, the y variable is not. It's now this new log of y variable. So the idea is we can plot something like that on this log linear paper, where the y-axis is no longer the y-axis, it's the log of y-axis. What's interesting about this, and I can't not write things down, so let me go back to that. What is interesting about this, when we take something like y equals 3 times 5 to the x and replace, when we take the log of both sides, I know I'm writing down the same thing we just did. But what's neat about this is when you start off with something that is exponential, this semi-log graph is linear. This is our y-intercept, or b value, right? When you talk about y equals x plus b. And this is our slope. So when we're calling this, and usually when people do this log, semi-log thing, they replace the log of your variable with the capital. So this log of lowercase y, people typically write as uppercase y. This is a log of 5 times x plus log of 3. It's a straight line, just like we can see on this graph paper, which is kind of weird. What I really want to say is, for those of you in Guy's class, he posted a video about, not about this specifically actually, but about how to do linear regression using a Google form, not a Google form, a Google Sheet. I think it's definitely worth watching. I think he really does a good job of explaining it. And if I can find a way to share it with all of you, I might, because I think it's worthwhile for everyone to watch. If I don't, I might actually talk about that next class, because I think it's something like typically this logarithm, this log, semi-log stuff is something people do have students do. And it can be a little confusing at first, but after you get the hang of it, it's totally like, oh yeah, this works. Just like I certainly need to get the hang of teaching in person, because it's been a year and it definitely feels like, okay, I've forgotten a few things. So I feel like even though we did a minuscule amount of math today, that's fine. We'll do more math on Friday. It's 2:55. We can call it a day. I'm very available in all the ways. Typically, I will have office hours. So typically, I'm going to have office hours on Wednesdays from 3:30 to 4:30 at home on Zoom. I feel like there's no way I'm going to make it from here to home by 3:30. So I'm probably going to change a bit, but we'll see. Question? Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be. Yeah. Please do fill out the attendance form. QR code works, and I will fix the links on Canvas so that it works as well. And it's nice to meet all of you. I haven't really met all of you, but it's nice to see all of you. At some point, I will hopefully learn your names. Maybe it seems like it's going to be extra challenging because a lot of times I'd be like passing stuff back and learn people's names that way. So if you would like me to learn your name, come talk to me. Say your name every time. I will eventually get it in my head. Hopefully, don't be mad if I don't. I apologize if I don't learn your name. But I would love to know all of them. So yes, you're free to go. I will see you on Friday. And yeah, if you have any questions, come on. Okay.
Because I don't like the what I did sophomore year.
Sure.
I still don't. I'm not having this.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Cool.
And then for last year, I said,
Okay. I mean, I feel like you might kind of more like done with this. So I guess it depends on. It depends on what your major is. And wow. Okay. And so you said you passed PC, which I wish I had a more ready answer for you. Here's what I would say. My boss, Sarah, is better. She is sometimes available downstairs in her office, which is her name is Sarah Hawks. If you go downstairs, it's the AATC building. Yes, second floor, and it's the one that's across from student accounting. If you go in there, you go back, to the little left, a little right,
was late. I went
It's 224, right?
I think it's 22, mine is 2244. And if you get to my office, it's just like right next to my office.
Can you say that one more time? Sorry.
Sure.
There's like so many.
No, that's right. So I think she would be able to better. Sarah Hawks. It's, I think it's 22. It's somewhere between like 224. I want to say it's 224. Maybe. But her name is on her door, and it's certainly close to there. And I would say, tell her James sent you, and that you have questions about what you actually do. Because yeah, I feel like if you've already taken different equations, this seems like yeah.
Well, it was really nice meeting you.
Yeah,
You're a very
likewise.
nice person.
Thanks. Seems like a nice thing to do.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hello.
I also think I did it wrong.
Okay.
My placement, I'm realizing qualifies me for 21A.
Okay.
Do you think I should?
What's your major?
I am a bioscience major. I'm a plant biology.
And this is probably the right.
And this is the right one.
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's good because I think this is very helpful and I like your class and I also really don't want to rearrange my schedule.
Sure.
So
yeah.
this is great.
And
Thank
if
you.
this seems like review-ish, don't worry, it's gonna ramp up
Okay.
real fast.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I
Hi.
just wanted to say hi. I don't know if you remember me from Math B.
I'm your face. Hi, that's right.
Yeah.
There was like two faces I got to see frequently. It was like you and that, or you and Jasmine. So
Did you really say
nice to
hi?
meet you in
Nice to
person.
meet you. Yeah. Bye. I
Hi.
just want to say hi too.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, oh my God, it was so crazy because I was in the 17 class this morning. It's my first class of the day.
Right.
So start off that morning with a bunch of hard math. He was talking about functions,
Sure.
and it's like stuff that I've seen before, but it was at such a higher level that it just like went over
Totally.
my head.
But yes, I definitely think your question is an excellent one in that, yes, I would love for you to send me whatever
Okay, I'll
questions
put
you have,
that
and I'll
on
be
the
like,
thing.
yeah, we can do that today
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay, that's,
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
of course. All right, see you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Oh, I should stop. I'm gonna end the video, everybody. So if you're still on Zoom, if you have any last questions, you're certainly welcome to ask them, but if not, I'm gonna end it in a moment. And Joanne, I feel like you were in my Math C class too. Can I ask one of you a favor to actually say words just so I can see if the microphone is working in the other way? Okay, yeah, I can hear you. Cool.
Okay.
So, yeah, if either of you have questions, you're welcome to ask them. Otherwise, I should end it.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome. Lawrence, any questions before I stop the Zoom meeting? All right, I'm going to take that as a no, and I will see you. Okay.